So welcome to live streaming on interesting Python. So today's topic of discussion is data types and collection in Python. Okay, so this is the third live session on this Python series, and we have covered, in first live session we had covered about setting up your environment and understanding programming and write your first program. In second session, we had covered loops and blocks, and then we had created interesting program for finding whether for basically creating the number guessing game. So now welcome to this third session, and let's get started with that. So I'm going to share my screen and okay, so now, okay, I'm on VS Code, and we will actually do our discussion on data types first, right? So let's discuss what exactly is data type. Now, data types, right? So what exactly is a data type? So first of all, let's understand what is a data type. Now, we are surrounded by data. So data is any information which you get. Like, for example, if there is a person, the person will have data which will be like the name, the weight, the height, the age, the address. All this is data related to the person. Now, if you see this data, some of the data is in form of numbers, some of the data is in form of words or strings. So now in this, because of that, all this data will have different data types. So there is various data types. And when we are talking about any programming language should have capability of handling these data types, because we use programming languages to build different features and having, and one of the features is the handling the mathematical aspects of programming. So that's where a programming language like Python should understand the data types. So Python data types are characterized into primitive, first of all, primitive data types. Primitive data types. Now, what are primitive data types? The data types which are like basic data types, like numbers, strings, Boolean. These are the different data types. Now, what can be numbers? Numbers can be like, I can have integer. I can have a decimal number. So now integer is called, so this is basically our integer data type. And then a decimal number is actually a float number. So now let's first look at it. So let's say I've defined a variable X and I store it a value of 10. Now I would say that, what is my variable X, which is, what is the data type of my variable X? So first of all, let's understand what is happening inside when we execute this program. So what is happening is, so as soon as Python will see that, okay, you have written this line of code, X is equal to 10. So Python is going to store this value in its memory. And this memory is actually called the RAM. RAM is random access memory. So this 10 will be stored here because why it is stored here? Because this memory space, this value has to be used in the programming logic. So it has to be referenced again and again. So what Python will do, it will actually store at a location, and this location is on RAM. So, and then this location will actually have some address. And then since we are assigning this value is assigned to X, then we will have this X, which is the variable, which is the container. And then this X is going to point to this value. Now, this value is also called object. This is what is called object. And we say that X is actually pointing to this object 10. Now, so that is how Python is going to store this value. And whenever we are reading this value again, we can read this value using the variable x, because x is pointing to 10. So to read, when we access this value in some form, it is actually going to go to this location and it is going to read this value. Okay, so now we see that we have assigned 10 to x. Now, if we want to see what it really is the data type for x, we can say type, and then we can pass in x in that. And you see that it is saying that it is of type int, right? So now let's check on another data type, y, which is this one is actually a decimal data type. And in Python, we call it float. You can see that we call it the float data type, right? So these are the two number data types which Python has. Then another data type which Python has is like your text, right? Your text, which is actually a string, okay, which is actually a string. So the string can be any name. Let's say this is the name, this is the string. And we are storing this Bangalore string in this text. So if I want to check this data type, we can check using the type function. Now this is type function gives us the value of this data type. Okay, so now we have these data type. Then there is one more data type, which is called a Boolean data type. So we can assign it to any other variable, and I can name this variable as flag, and then I can assign it a Boolean data type. Now, Boolean data type will have only two values, which will be true or false. So I can assign this value, a flag value of true, and you can see that we are getting this true value. If I check the type for flag, you will see that it is telling me that, okay, the type of this flag is actually a Boolean. So now these are, so whenever I have created all these objects, now this has actually gone and it has been created in the memory space. All of them will be created in the memory space. That's how the programming works. Now RAM, which is random access memory, will store these objects which are actually part of that process, which are at the part of the program execution. And then we do that, and then in that case, this 15.5, we will have this y, which is pointing to this. Okay. Similarly, we will on this RAM, we will have somewhere this value true, which will be stored, and now we have flag, which is pointing to this object. Similarly, we will have somewhere as Bangalore, and then again we will have this string text pointing to this. So that's how all this objects are stored in the RAM, and then we have these variable names to reference these objects. We can use these objects using these variable names. Okay, now one thing which you are seeing here is these variable names, they can hold only one value. But what if we have multiple values? If we have a collection of values, like you can have names of your friends, or you can have your names of your favorite movies, or basically you can have a score of sports or a subject of different students. So that is multiple values. Now, how do we store that? So that's where we come to a concept called collection. Collections. Now, this is the collection data types. There are other data types available in Python to us by default, and that will help us store multiple values. Now, collection can be of different types. We can have list, we can have dictionary, we can have set, and we will have tuple. Okay, so these are the four different collection types which we have. That's what we can use to store multiple values. Now to store list, basically if you have multiple values, let's say for example, I want to store my favorite fruits. So I will say favorite fruits is equal to create any list, we need to use the square brackets. And let's say we are saying orange is my favorite fruit, then mango, then I have apple. These are my favorite fruits. Okay, so we can actually create this kind of variable which will store this data, and this data actually is a list. List is multiple items. To use this, you see that all this values are available to us, and then we can access individual items also. We can access the first value using the index. The index of the list, it starts from 0, right? So in Python, and for that matter, in other programming languages, in different arrays, the index for this list. So let's say if I have a list and I have various items, the index for these items, the particular index will start from 0, the next item will have 1, then we have 2, then we have 3. This is how the indexing works. And to access the individual elements of this list, we can use these indexes. Okay, so now let's say I want to access apple. So apple is the third item. It will have index of 2. So you can see that I'm getting apple when I'm using the index position as 2. So now so this is basically we can basically add items. We can create a new list and then we can access any items. Then we are also provided with a lot of functions which come with this list. And these are the different functions which are append, count, insert, reverse, clear, all these functions which we can use. Then we have sort also, we have pop also. Pop will remove an item, right? Now, if you want to know what exactly these functions do, then actually you can always use the help function, which is available to us. And we can use help. And if you see that, it will say appends objects to the end of the list. So fine. So let's say let's try to append something. So we'll go and then we will use append and we will pass a value. Let's say I want to pass banana. So now favorite fruits contains banana as well, right? So like that we have different functions. So let's say I want to check on what exactly is count will do. So I will go to count and I'm doing a help on count. So it will say returns number of occurrences of a value, right? So it will return as the occurrence of the value. So let's try that. So we will say count. And let's say I want to find how many times apple is there in this list. So you see that it says that, okay, it is only one time which is available in this list. Okay. So that is how different functions work. Like that, you can use any function. Let's say I want to insert. It can insert at a certain location. So you will have to, we can check the help on that, how exactly insert works. We can also check what is the syntax. We see that first we have to provide the index, and then we have to provide the object which we want to insert. So let's do that. So we will provide index. Let's say I want to insert one item before mango, right? So the index of mango is 1. So I'll provide mango. And then I will say kiwi. Let's say I like kiwi fruit. Then I will remove these things. And if I do that, now you see that kiwi will be added before mango. That's how you can use these functions. This is how you can manipulate the list. You can basically add items to the list, add a particular particular position. You can also reverse the list. I can reverse the list. Now it will be reversed in alphabetical order, right? So you see that it is sorted the list. No, sorry, it has reversed the list. not alphabetical order, whatever was the order of the list items, it is going to reverse the list item. So list stores the values which are ordered, and because they are ordered, you can get them, you can access them using the index. Okay, so you can do all that. So when we are reversing, it has reversed the order of the list. Similarly, there are other functions: clear, extend, pop. Pop will actually get rid of items. So I will say pop, and then it will remove one item from the end. So it is return item from the end. And what is returned in favorite fruits is the orange is not there because it has been popped. We can sort it also. Now to sort, it will, it can sort, it will sort in the alphabetical order. So that's what it did. I think it was already in the alphabetical order. So this is how it is done. Now we have seen that we have done operations on different strings. We can also have numbers. So let's say I have 23, I have 4.5, I have 45, I have 75, and I can also store a string. So I can store a string, and you see that the numbers contains string as well as integer as well as float. It can consist of any data type. So lists are super flexible. They can contain any data type. They can be modified. And then you can even have other objects, like you can have another list inside list. So all that works fine with lists. So lists are super useful, super flexible in Python, and they're used most often in Python, right? So now let's say if I want to do sorting on that. Now this will not sort because Python has no way of comparing a number with a string, so it is going to throw an error, right? It's going to throw an error that I cannot support between string and int. So what we will do is we will pop apple from this list. Now what number contains is just the numbers. And now if we run the sorting, it will sort. It will sort this list. Okay, so we have this sorted list. Okay, so yeah, so earlier it was 23, 4.5, 45. So yeah, so now, okay, so indeed, actually, when we did sort, it did sort to some extent, but it failed at apple. So that's why it threw an error, but it went ahead and did the sorting. And after that, yeah, it has not sorted. So, okay, so fine. So that is something to note here is even if it contains string, let's try one more thing. Let's say I have a string after apple as well. So let's say I have 100. And now if I do apple, yeah, and then I try to sort and it will fail. Let's see what is the order of items and numbers. So you see that number has changed. It has actually sorted all this, and it has indeed sorted this. Let's try once more, and we'll just make it 10. Okay, indentation. So in Python, we have to be very careful about indentation. You cannot have any extra spaces. Python does care about these extra spaces. So now let's do sorting on that. So I think it's going to sort. I don't think it's going to bring 10 ahead. So it does fail. And then, yeah, so 10 remains here, but the rest of the item, it has sorted. Now let's say we want to remove apples. So we will say favorite dot remove. And we'll say remove apple. And now you see that? Okay, and no, so that we want to do it in numbers. So numbers remove apple. And then you will see that apple is gone. Now if I sort it, all will work fine. So I'll say sort. See that numbers. You see that it's sorted and then 10 has come ahead and all these values are fine. So it has sorted the list. Okay, so now let's say we want to sort the list in descending order. So it's very simple. We can say reverse is equal to true. Right, so we'll say reverse is equal to true, and you see that it is sorted in the reverse order. Right, so basically now it is a descending order. right? So this is about list, and let's look at other data types, which is tuple, right? So let's look at tuple. Let's look at tuple. So we will we'll create a variable called T1, and then we are going to pass a tuple to it. Now, to create a tuple, you need to use the normal brackets. You need to use the normal parenthesis, and we'll add some values to it. You can again have different type of data types in this. So you can have different type of data types in this. Not a problem, right? So T1. So that is what is consist of this. And even this in tuples, you can access, it is ordered collection of items. You can access any items. Let's say I want to access this item, basically true, which is my third item. So which means I have to put the index as 2. And that's how I can get it. So rest, I think the functionality is similar. There's actually one main difference between list and tuple is actually immutable. Tuple is immutable. So we say tuple is immutable. Mutable. Okay, so this is what tuples are immutable. List is actually mutable. Now, mutable means we can change list, but immutable means we cannot change the tuple. So I cannot really change the tuple. And if I try, so let's say if I want to access the item, second item, so I am getting 10. Now, let's say I want to make this 10 is 100. You see that it fails, saying that it does not support assignment. So you really cannot change this tuple. Now, if you see the number of methods which are available, there are only 2 methods which are available, which is count and index. Any tuple modification list, any tuple modification functions or methods are not available with tuples. Okay, so that is how we can use count function. Let's say I want to count 10. You see here, it is able to count. If I want to find the index, so I'll say I want to find index, and I want to find the index of RAM. So I will say find the index of RAM, and it will actually give me the index of RAM. So these are the 2 methods available in tuple, and tuple is actually immutable. It works in pretty much the same way as list, but that's the only difference. Now, you may have requirements where you want your tuple to be immutable, right? Even though functionality is similar to list, you may want your collection to be immutable, and that's where tuple comes beneficial. Okay, so we will look at the usage of tuples also. So now, so these are the 2 collection data types. The next one we will look at is the dictionary, right? Now, what is dictionary? Dictionary is a unordered collection of key value pairs. Okay, so we can have key value pairs. We can have a key and value mapping. So we can have key and value pairs. Okay, so now how it is useful? Like, for example, if there are basically if there are 2 people, right? So we'll say P1, person 1, and we say that, okay, 25, 45, no, 175 RAM, and yeah, so RAM, yeah, that's it, right? So P1 is this. Now, fine, these are the values. What exactly these values mean? So there is no information related to this object of what these values really mean. So for that, if you want to assign a value, then this key value pair comes handy. And for that, we will create dictionary. And to create dictionary, we will use curly brackets, and then we can say, okay, the age of this person is 25, and then weight of the person is 40. So this is how we will do, and then age, and then we will assign 25 using colon. So key and value are separated by the colon. Weight is 45, right? And then we will say height is equal to 175. And then we say name is equal to Ram. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we did not execute that. Okay, so let me quickly write this. Name colon height colon weight colon age colon. Okay, age is not defined. Okay, so we need to put it inside the quotes. So key has to be in the quotes because it's a string. It's a string, and otherwise it is thinking it's a variable name, but actually it's not a variable name. So this is how we get the P1. P1 is the first person, and then we clearly get the information about this person as well. Similarly, we can create another person. We can have P2, right? We can have P2 with, let's say, we can say Shyam. Height is 180, weight is 55, and age is 24. I'm going to assign it to P2. Right, so P2 is my another dictionary, and you can see that we have, with this key value pair, we have a very clear information available in P2. So now so this is key, and then this is value. This is key, and this is value. Okay. So now dictionary, so P1, you can see that it provides a lot of methods to us. It has clear, copy, items, keys, all these methods are available to us. So if I say items, right? So you see that it will give me all the items as a key value pair. You can see that now I've got a tuple of the tuples of key value pair, age and weight and height and all that is there. That's how I can get item. And now this particular value which is being returned, it is actually iterable. So we can iterate over it, which means we can use a for loop to go over each item one by one. So we can say for item in P1 dot items, and then we can actually print item. So what do you think you will get? Okay, so we will get basically different tuples, age, weight, height, and names. This is how we will get. So this is how you can iterate over it. Similarly, you have like keys where you can just extract the keys of from this dictionary. You can get items. You can get even you can get keys, items. Yeah, keys and items, and then you can get also values, right? So you can get values also. So I can say, so let me run the same. I can say values. Okay. Okay, so I want to say values, and then I'm getting print an item, and you see that I'm getting these values as well, right? These are values. Accordingly, you can get the keys and print item, and we're getting the keys as well. So this is how you can use it, and you can pop, you can get all that, you can copy, all different type of methods are there. So this is what the dictionary basically stores your key value pair, and that's how you can use it. So next collection we will look at is the set. Now set is defined again using curly brackets, but it has just values, some values. It does not have key value pairs. It will just have values. And again, it can store different type of values, like it can store Boolean, it can store float, it can even store, so it can store different type of values, a Boolean, float, and it can store strings as well. Let's say I say RAM. So you see that set contains all these things. Now sets are not ordered; they don't maintain the order. So you cannot basically get the order really from the set. Now how do we use it? So set provides you functions. You can see you have add, clear, all these functions are there, and you also have copy, clear, the difference, transaction, interaction. So you have different other methods also related to set theory, where you can perform different operations on set. So so set, I can add value, but then if I want to use these values, I can very well use a for loop. I can say item and set one, print item. You see that I'm actually getting all the values. Now, the primary purpose of set will be basically you want to see whether a particular value exists in the set or not. For that, you can use the membership operator called in. So let's say I will say 5 in set one, and then it returns true because indeed 5 is in set one. If I say 15 set one, so it will return false because 50 is not there in this set. And if I say 50 not in set one, it will say true. Yeah, 50 is not in as well in the set one. That's how you can use set. And then there are different methods, copy, clear, you can try all of them. But now set also provides you, set theory methods. So let me create set one. Set one is already created. Now let me create a set two. So I will say that 290 and 17, right? So this is what I say. And you can see that my set two is created. Now I can do different operations. Now let's say I want to add a particular item. Let's say I add to set two, I add 6, right? Okay, set, and then I say add, and I am able to add set 2 to this. Let's add one more item. Let's add 5 as well. So you see that we have set 2, which contains 5 and 6 values. Now, if you want to do various operations, so we can do that. You can see we can find intersection, we can find union. Intersection is basically finding the common elements. I'll say set 1 dot inter. Okay, so set 1 dot intersection. And now, so it will just give me the common elements. Okay, intersection. Okay, set 1, I need to pass set 2 to this, and then it gives me the common element 5 and 6. Okay, so that's how intersection works. If you want to do union, so you can say set 1 dot union, and then you say set 2, and it will be able to combine these two. So it will basically produce the union of these two sets. So similarly, you can set 1 and set 2. These values are intact. You can always find which item is particularly present in one set, but it is not present in another set. So we can use a difference method. So for that, we can just simply say, set 1 minus set 2. Yeah, so it is finding me the difference, right? So set 1 contains these many values, and set 2 contains only these values. So it is removing those elements and it is giving me that value, right? So we have done tuple dictionary. So pretty much we have done all the collection data types. Now let's look at strings, right? So strings, so we had created a string called text and it stores Bangalore. Now a string, pretty much you can access items the way you do it in set. So if I want to particularly access any character, so it's the way string handles it, you have the characters from zero, starting from zero, like the index of the first alphabet is zero, and then that's how it works. So we can say text, and then at zero, so we, okay, yeah. So you see that the first text is B. If I want a second text, we can find by providing the index one. It works exactly the same. Even you can run for loop. So I can say for C in text, and then I will print C. I'll print C. So there is a problem. So from C in text, for C in text, and then, okay, so I need to have an indentation, right? So once I get the indentation, now you see that it is able to print alphabet by alphabet. So strings pretty much behave the way list behaves, but only difference is strings are immutable and lists are mutable. Okay, so now what does this mean? So let's say if I have name as Ram, and I want to change the name to hold another value, which is called Pam. So can I do this? Can I do this? So yes, you can actually do this. And what has happened is this, whatever the value was there, held in name, and we call it reference, that has been erased with the newer reference, which is pointing to Pam. Now, so this is really not changing this string. We are actually assigning a new value to this variable. And our intent is to modify this string. So now let's say what is stored in name. Name we have stored Pam. I want to access the first element, 0, and I want to change this to Sam. So what I will do is I will say, okay, so make this equal to S, right? So now this thing is going to fail because it's going to say string objects does not support item assignment. So, and it has basically, it didn't work that way. So how can we really achieve this kind of functionality in which we want to just replace one alphabet? So we will have to do something like this. We will say, okay, and then for name, I basically slice and take all the elements after name. Yeah, I will basically start from second character and go all the way till end. So this is how I can do. So now you say that name contains SM. Okay, so okay, because I have used a wrong index, I need to use right index. Okay, so now because name has got modified, let's start again. So it is my Sam, sorry, it should be Pam, and I want to convert into Sam. So I'm taking, so Pam, I'm converting into Sam. So I have prefix with S, and then I'm slicing this list, and then I'm taking these two values, right? I'm taking these two values. So when I do that, so to take these two values, I have to start with the index of A. The index of A in this name is actually AM. So I will do that. And now you see that my name, which is pointing to Pam, now has become Sam, right? So this is how you can actually achieve changing the string. Now, this is all fine. So let's say we have a string. We have a string, string data, which has some duplicate words. So, hello, how are you? Right. So let's say we want to get rid of the duplicates. So how do we do that? Now to get rid of duplicate words from this string. This is the challenge which we have. Now, how do we attempt that? To do this, we can see that now we have two strings, two words which are duplicate, but the string can be anything, and we have to find an algorithm through which we will be able to get rid of the duplicate words and then get back the string. Okay, so the way we can do is we can actually split this string by spaces. So now then we will have different elements, and those different elements will be part of a list, and this list we will convert into set and pass, and as soon as it becomes set, the duplicate elements from set will be removed, as sets store only unique elements. Set do not allow any duplicate values. So we will do a split. You see that we have, okay, so we need to close this, right? So we will actually do a split by default it takes spaces, and you see that it's giving me it is giving me the list. The split function on the string is giving me the list containing this list. So now to basically get rid of these items, we just simply need to convert into set. And if I do that, now you see that my objects, my duplicates are gone. And now let's say I want to combine these two again. What I can do is I can basically, so I have this items, right, which are actually in form of set, and I can join them, right? So I can join them. To join, using space, I can use the join function on a string with space. So we are using this string. We are using this particular string, which is a single space, to join items of this set. So these items will be concatenated, keeping space in between. Okay. So now let's do that. See, we are getting this string, but now what is happening is your order is jumbled up. Now, since sets do not preserve the order, you cannot be guaranteed about the order. So if that is the case, then you will have to go, if you want to preserve the order of the of the string or the list, then you will have to go a traditional way. So a traditional way in which we will have to loop through and then find the duplicate and get rid of the duplicate. So let's do this again, right? So we will do a split on this, and by default split will take the empty string. We'll take the spaces to split this. And then we have words. Now we have this words. So we will actually create another list which will be empty list, and this is where we want to store the values. So what we'll do, for word w in words, and then I want to run this. So it's going to run and it's going to basically get every item in w. So let's actually print to verify. You see that, okay. To verify this w, and you see that we are getting all these items. So now what we will do is actually we'll take this item, we will put it in new words, and if the word is already existing, we will not add it. So now let's try this again. So we'll say if new list dot index, new list dot index, or maybe you can use count as well. Count of w is greater than 0, then in that case, we will go to new words, and then we will append this w to it. Okay. So once you do that, now you see that new words contains nothing, because of, okay, let's do that. Okay, so if new word dot count, new, not new, yeah, new words dot count of W is greater than 0. No, it should be equal to 0, right? Not greater than 0. If it is greater than 0, we don't want to add it. So it should be equal to 0. Then only we will append it, right? If it's already present, then it is, we don't want to add it. So new word dot append, and we want to append W to it. So now you see that new words contain only the non-duplicate words, and they are in the proper order. And then you can use the same thing to append it. So I can actually I can use my space dot join, and then I'll use the join function on this, and I'm getting the completed string. Okay, so that's how you can get rid of duplicates, and that's how we actually do strings, and that's how we do collection. So this is basically this is about all the data types, different data types in Python. So hopefully you should be comfortable with data types now. So if you have any question, you can always ask in the comments. And if you like the video, don't forget to like it and then subscribe to the channel to see more videos like that and to continue on your learning path on Python. Okay, so that's it. And I will see you next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.